All right.
Hi, I'm Cynthia with Psychic Flow Television, and I am here today in Greer, South Carolina, with Sharon Bridwell. She is a clairvoyant and a psychic and also a healer, and I really want you to tell me a little bit more about what you do and your contribution to the metaphysical world.
Okay. Well, I have been a healer since I was 8 years old. I was asked one time, how long have you been doing this? And I said it would be easier to say how long I don't remember not doing it. And how did I end up becoming a metaphysical minister? Now that is a story all by itself, Cynthia, because what happened to me was my brother-in-law had crossed over, and I went and spent some time with my sister, and during that time I started a soul search. I thought, you know, there has to be more to this than just what I'm experiencing right now as a Christian. Been a Christian minister for over 35 years, ordained minister, went to Bible college, and I studied everything that there was to study. But I knew there was more, and one day I was talking to someone about meditation, and they said, well, you know, there's a difference. Prayer, you talk to God; meditation, you're quiet, you listen. I thought, that is a concept, but I'm not ready to meditate. Well, I went on a guided meditation, and it was during that guided meditation that I met my guide, great-grandmother, 13 generations ago. When I saw her in the guided meditation coming toward me from this waterfall, it looked exactly like me until she got close. And when she got closer, I realized, oh my God, who are you? And she said, I'm your great-grandmother 13 generations ago, and I'm your guide. Well, that scared me because I was not into that kind of thing.
And I didn't understand that. I'm an ordained minister coming out of the Christian world, and that is really a shocker when Spirit allows you to go just beyond the church boundaries.
Yes. And I did an article too that I wrote called "The Christian on the Path to Enlightenment."
Wow.
And yeah, it's on Enzyme, and you can read that also on my website at www.oracleoftheage.com. But I wrote that because as I started waking up, I realized I'm psychic, and I've been psychic for I don't know how long, because I know it's been at least 40 years. And I'd always called myself a prophetess.
Yes.
God said this, and I got to realizing that I was telling people things on a personal level that was coming true, and I was seeing things in the spirit realm. I could find people. If someone says, I can't find my husband, I could say, okay, let's check in and ask God. And then I would see a vision, and we would go there, and that's where the person would be.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Now, I think that's how psychics get away at church. They always say, God said this.
Yeah. It is true.
Yeah.
It is true.
But, you know, I think it's a play on the words. And we talked about this before. Psychic is the same as a prophet.
Yes, it
A
is.
seer is the same as a clairvoyant, you know, and on and on and on. And I love the fact that you're out here spreading the truth.
Yes.
Spreading the word of how you can love God and still use the gifts that have been given to you from God.
That's right. It is right. And another thing that was so awesome to me was I told my husband after I'd come back home and had this little guided meditation. He didn't quite understand either. He didn't want me talking to my guides. He was flipping out over it. But now he has guides that he listens to himself, so he woke up, thank God.
Wow.
But during that time, he was supporting me 100% through my little change I was going through. And I said, you know, I think what would be a great idea is to start telling the Christians, especially in the Bible Belt, about there's more to this than what you see. There is more to it. So I went to the Holiday Inn in Greer, and Hunter Jones, who is the president of Studio Rejuvenate, was there. And while he was there, it was a small amount of people there that day, and I looked over at Hunter and I said, I know you're not going to understand this, but wow, my guide, my great-grandmother 13 generations ago, wants to speak to you. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if you have not done that in front of a group of Bible Belt people, and we're not talking about thus saith the Lord, I'm saying my guide wants to talk to you. So she told him that he was going to be coming into some money at the end of the year, and that he was going to start a business, and that before the new year he was going to need a brand new car. Well, he told me later, he said, you know, you had me going when you said that part about the money and the business, but when you said I would need a new car, he said, I knew you were off then because I had a nice car and it was fine. I said, I'm just telling you what she's saying, and she's always right. She's 100% accurate.
Wow.
I might not be, but oh my goodness gracious, she is 100% accurate.
What is your grandmother's name?
I don't know. As a matter of fact, I asked her one day, I says, what is your name? And she says, it doesn't matter, Flower. And I don't know why she calls me Flower, but I got a few ideas. But anyway, I was in the Bellagio in Las Vegas with a couple of people, and this lady looks at me that's at the table with us, and she starts talking, and she says, oh my God, your great-grandmother just spoke to me. I went, what? And she said, and I find she's doing that all over the U.S. I have people call me great-grandmother speaking to me. I'm like, awesome. Well, here's what happened. She said to me, she wants me to give you a message. She said to tell you that her name does not matter, but that she is seated on the council of Shambhala. And I went, wow, because in my guided meditation, that's where I woke up, was in Shambhala.
And what is Shambhala? Can you share that with me?
Well, Shambhala supposedly, from what I understand about it, is a mountainous place that it does exist, but no one can find it kind of place. And I woke up there on the day of the Wesak festival, where that's the love time. And there was this little old man sitting at the top of this hill, and my skin was as black as it could be, because I remember when he said, he was telling me, throw out love, but he was saying it with his mind. I was, you know, using telepathy, and he was telling me, throw out love. So as I would throw my hand out, I would notice that my skin was black, and I was like, I'm in some kind of weird place right now, because I had no clue. I had never experienced this before, but I kept throwing out love. Well, as people came up the mountain, I knew who they were, what country they were from, by the symbol behind the third eye was telling me the name of their country.
Wow.
And I just kept throwing out the love and throwing out the love, and that day is when I realized I left there, and that's when I saw great-grandmother, and I realized then she was coming to tell me that you're here about love. This lifetime is to master unconditional love. And I said, I will, that's what I'm doing. I'm here to do that. So I was in Las Vegas when this happened, and surrounded by a wonderful group of meditators, and they asked me to be on their board of directors for the Society for Advancement of Consciousness, which at that time I didn't understand any of that, but they taught me well. And when I came back home, I told my husband, I said, I'm starting a group. I'm going to start a meetup group. I'm going to hold meditation. And I said, I'm going to do everything I can to share this word. Well, I started sharing it also with my husband too, Cynthia, who started growing, started reading. And I just kept learning more and more. I got to meditating more and more. I started using my gifts for healing. So one day I got a phone call from Hunter. And he says, I have a question to ask you. I said, okay. He says, I'll pay you for the answer. I go, oh my goodness, you don't have to pay me. What is it? He goes, well, remember when you told me about the money and the business? I said, yeah. He says, I got it. He said, you were right. He goes, I didn't think you were right about the car. He goes, but I got a problem. I go, what is it? He goes, my car major malfunctioned and I need a brand new one. And I said, great-grandmother said not till after the first of the year. So anyway, Hunter came to the next holiday and meeting, and he told the entire group there, he goes, Sharon was right about this, this, and this. And I said, no, great-grandmother was. I don't know these things. And he goes, well, this is what I have to say. I started a business, and he goes, you now will have an office where you can come and read people, and a room to teach your classes in, and you don't have to ever pay for a Holiday Inn again.
Wow.
And so I knew then God was opening doors that was incredibly beautiful. Incredibly beautiful. And then, on top of that, he's very supportive of it too. He actually comes to the meditations, and then I teach Chios. I am an energy healer. It's similar to Reiki, but a little bit different.
What's the difference between Reiki and Chios?
Well, they are both energy, of course, but I feel that I don't want to use the word magical for Chios, but it just seems like it goes so far back that it's not man-made like Reiki is. I believe the angels have a lot to do with this, but that's my opinion, because I've been doing this I don't know how many lifetimes. So it came from somewhere that wasn't from man to me. Well, I started my class here. We have massage rooms here because it's a studio, so obviously it was a perfect setup. And I got the surprise of my life as well when Steve, the person that owns the Chios Institute, goes, "Sharon, you are now officially a certified Chios healing school." He had no clue I had this building.
Wow.
I had reached that number where after you do so many, you become a school. And I went, wow. So we graduated our first class a couple of months ago, 8 students. So now there's 8 more people healing, believing metaphysically in this belt. And now we just started our second class with 7 students. So yes, we are growing. And a year ago when I started this meetup, there were 3 people on it, me, my husband, and my nephew. Now it's got almost 170 in a year. So there is a lot of people coming out of the metaphysical closet. So, and I'm happy about that. But that's my story of how I did that. I've always been psychic. I just do not remember not being psychic. I just never called myself psychic. As a matter of fact, I had a girl come up to me in the restaurant one day, and my daughter was sitting there with me, and I started talking to her. I said, God wanted me to tell you that everything's going to be okay with your son in daycare, and not to worry about your mom. That situation is getting ready to be resolved too. Now, I didn't realize I was being psychic, but she looked at me and she goes, "You have the gift." I want the gift. I looked at her and I thought, gift? What gift? The gift of prophecy. That's all I know. And this guy walks by and he goes, "Are you psychic?" And I went, "No." And my daughter goes, "My mom's not psychic." And I thought, well, you know what? I might be. Because the more I'm thinking about this, how do I know this? So then one day I was in Las Vegas and I was working at the Ganesha Center. And by the way, if you've not been there, you owe it to yourself to go there. Incredible. Well, I was doing readings one day, back to back. I mean, they were one right after the other. I would finish, another would come in for an hour, all day long. For 2 days I did that. And I did it all week, but for 2 days, back to back. And this girl, this is when I realized I was also a medium. Is when this girl came in, I felt the presence of someone come in with her. And I said to her, I said, "Okay, well, we're not alone, so go ahead and have a seat." And I said, "I want you to put your feet flat on the floor. I want you to breathe. Just stay grounded." I said, "I want to talk to whoever this is." And I said, "May I know your name? Because when a spirit comes in the room, I want to know, are you good or bad?" And the guy goes, "My name is David." I went, "Okay." I said to her, "Do you know David?" And she busts out crying. She goes, "It's my husband. He was killed on a motorcycle 2 weeks ago."
Oh, no.
I go, "Well, he's here, so he would like to speak to you." And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God. So now I'm really going overboard. I'm talking to dead people. So, I mean, this is the truth. You asked me, I'm telling you, this is how I was feeling about all this, because I was still sort of getting the new feeling of being awake. So what happened was, I said to her, "He wants to tell you that it's okay to let him go back to the light. And for you to know he wants you to go on with your life." And he says if he was here, he would kiss your feet. And she started crying. I was thinking that's a crazy thing for him to say, but she unbuckled her boot, pulled her boot off, and underneath that boot was a beautiful heart with the name David on it. And she goes, he kissed my feet all the time.
Oh.
So that was my first experience of knowing that I was talking to someone on the other side that I remember, that I know of. I don't know how many times I've actually done it and didn't realize I was telling people messages, but the more I used the gift, the greater it got. I even had a girl call me one time, she said, do you do names? I go, no, absolutely not. Great-grandmother says, I do. And I was like, oh my. So I didn't tell her she said that. I just thought, okay, well, we went on through the little session, and she asked me a question, and I went and said to her, oh, by the way, do you know someone by the name of Steve? And she goes, yes. I says, he's going to renew your contract. She goes, oh my God, that's why I called you. That's what I wanted to know. Was Steve going to renew my contract?
Wow.
And I had no clue that she knew a Steve or was wanting a contract renewed. And he renewed it. So I realized when this started happening was the gift that I brought from a past lifetime and from previous lifetimes as a healer and as a psychic, someone that was intuitive and knew these things, that I brought that gift with me through all these lifetimes. And it was through past life regressions that I found all the different kind of lifetimes that needed healed. And people that I had met that I was actually sharing some of those lifetimes with, that I needed to just say all is well. And it is a beautiful, beautiful experience for me. Every day is a growing period where I just feel more and more love for humanity, more and more. And I got a new card, and I put Spiritual Intuitive on the back with oracleoftheage.com, and somebody keyed my car in the grocery store parking lot. And you know, normally, and I mean brand new car, so normally something like that would upset me and make me very angry, but I looked at it and I said, I love you, whoever you are, I forgive you, and I release this. The next day I came out of my house, and the first thing my ego wanted to do was go check out the scratches all over the car. And I looked at the car and I said, I don't care. Because that's not releasing it if you can't let go of something. So I just let go. I learned not to be attached to the outcome of things. I learned to love God with all my heart, with all my soul, and teach others to do the same thing. And for people not to be afraid of the word psychic, wow. I mean, because it's really not a bad word. I used to do this. When somebody said they were psychic, I'd go, oh, get away from me. But I learned so fast. I mean, I progressed. When I woke up, it was almost like I went through college for 4 years of college in 4 months. It was incredible. God was just speaking to me all the time, my guides. And then I went to a conference, and at this conference, I saw people's guides. And when I saw them, I was like, it was not like seeing a human. It was like these energies all around these people were moving everywhere. And I could not breathe. I literally could not breathe. I went outside, sat in a chair, and was fanning myself because I was so, oh my God, what is this? Now I do workshops on angels and guides, helping people. We did one here, and everyone except one person in the room was able to ask their guides their name and get their names and ask a question and get a yes or no. And so those workshops are awesome, they're beautiful, but anyway.
So you have a workshop in Greer, South Carolina, 300 Jones Street, right?
John Street, yes.
John Street.
Yes.
And and the name of the studio is what?
The studio here is called Studio Rejuvenate.
Okay. Yes.
And I teach these workshops also all over the country. I go to Vegas.
So you are available for if someone wanted to call you. They go to Oracle of the Age, oracleoftheage.com. And plus she has also a meetup group, which is it Oracle of the Age?
It is Oracle of the Age.
Oracle of the Age also. I love the fact that you have Oracle. Yeah. I love that because oracles are seers.
Yeah.
You know, and they're able to see, you know, from higher vibration. Can you give me sort of a list of your services?
I do Chio's healing. Not only do I do the Chio's healing itself, the energy work, I'm also an instructor for it at the school. I teach workshops on angels and guides, energy healing, auras and chakras. Of course, I do weddings. I also teach classes on Akashic records. I'm getting ready to do one of those in Sanford, Florida next month, and that one is on how to access the Akashic records.
Wow, that's very interesting. I'm interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is really beautiful, and that is one of the ways that when I'm doing my readings, instead of just doing a energy reading on the person, I ask, may I access your Akashic records, and I have a little, method that I use to get there.
And so, what is Akashic records? And how do you spell that?
It's AKASHIC, and it's a Sanskrit word, and basically it just means the Lamb's Book of Life. It's the same thing. It's a recording, it's an energetic recording of everything that's ever happened to you, past, present, and future, and including past lifetimes. So since our soul was sparked, the very beginning when our soul was sparked, which we could be many places right now, because when we bust out of there and we have a lot of things to do, there's too much catching up to do to try to get it all done in one little lifetime. So we may have another part of us somewhere else that's out there collecting this information as well, and that's another story. But yeah, that gets pretty deep if we go there. But I told you, it was like going to college and 4-year college.
I've been noticing that a lot of people are fast tracking because of the awakening that's going on.
Yes.
And so I call it the Saul Paul episode. Is that Saul in the Bible went through all the universities of Pharisees and Sadducees, and he's got a lot of learning and teachings, but he was very mean. He killed Christians.
Yes.
But when the Christ consciousness came and knocked him off of his donkey, all of a sudden he changed his name and then the way he saw things, because it was like a chain that came off of his down from his eyes, right? And so now all the knowledge that he's known, and probably even from past lives, started being available to him. And so now with what he already knew, and now the spirit on his side, straightway he went up and started teaching.
Yes.
And so I'm thinking that sort of happened to you, one of those straightway things.
Yes.
You got it,
was.
and then you got the understanding of this world as well as that world.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
That's what happened to me. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you something else. When I found out that I had past lives before, I was at a convention in Las Vegas, and there was someone there that he channeled Jesus as Master Joshua. And I thought, I grew up with Jesus as my best friend all my life, so I know if this is real, I'll be the